Let me just turn up this mic a little bit. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you great. Can you hear me?
Now I can.
All right, sweet. Every time I do this to somebody, and you'll remember this, some people don't, but you remember those commercials in always like the '90s and early 2000s, like I believe it was AT&T or Singular, but can you hear me now?
I definitely remember it. That was Verizon, wasn't it?
I don't remember what it was exactly, but I just remember like the dude riding around on the horse or like being all over the world. Can you hear me now?
In the most remote places, right?
Anyway, but yeah, dude, good to see you, bro.
Good to see you. How's everything been?
Um, Exceptionally busy. But that's usually how it is. But I'm not working at the college anymore, so it's not really a stress being busy just with the gym because I was doing both for 4 years, you know.
Right.
But yeah, man, it's rocking. We just had Tim win Golden Gloves, and then Joel, one of our white belts, won pants.
There you go.
Yeah.
Staying busy. It's good to be able to focus on one, though, I'm sure, not have to divide your time between the two, you know?
It is, man. That and like we have so many people here now that are helping. It's kind of like the problem you just said, and maybe you run into this as a gym owner, but like, you oversee everything. It's like, hey, who's teaching the kickboxing? Well, Brian. Who's
Right.
Muay Thai? Also Brian. We had this 10th Planet Black Belt, Kyle Bame, the ADCC competitor, moved here,
Mhm.
teaches no gi. We got Sharpie, black belt,
Nice.
teaching classes. We're adding some white belt classes. He's going to teach one of those. Um, and it's just, McMillan teaches all of the morning classes.
Right.
I say about today, it's like I started those programs, and then
Yeah.
like no longer have to be like, somebody else wants to do it. Like I came and taught the morning class today just because we've got like some promotions and rank review and stuff coming up. But
Right.
you know, it's nice having more people teach because it makes doing everything easier. Uh,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's adults, fitness. Anyway,
And it just takes time to build that instructor core. I'm still like I'm at year 5 right now, and I think by year 10, I've got some guys that, by then will have their black belt. And for me, it's tough finding, like, I still teach the kickboxing, and then I've got a different guy that does boxing. But that's a tough one, because there's certain ways I want it done. So in the kids, I still teach a lot of the kids because it's just, I want it done my way, and I'm ready to give it up yet.
and that's it, and what we found is you just have to, like you said, you will raise those people up, the people that they'll do it the way that you want it done, not just
Right.
in respect for you, because that's the way they also do it in their own way.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's big for us. It's like I see that in every program now, like the there's Bridget, and she's been with us. You probably remember seeing her since she was 3 years old,
Right.
and she's about to be 16, and is just like, okay, you're on the payroll now. Yeah,
Right.
you work here, and she is pumped about that. But the 8 to 12 year olds moving up to teens, and then those teens moving up to adult class. It's happening more and more, dude, and it makes me feel kind of old.
Yeah, it's okay. But I mean, the good thing with that is your retention, right? I mean, the thing is that you're keeping people for a long time. And that's what's important too, is we still see like so much churn and so much overturn. I always say only the strong survive.
Yeah, man, that's it's weird. I guess that you just get used to the attrition of dealing with that.
For sure.
How do you deal with it?
I mean, again, it's just, you don't treat it as a revolving door, but I mean, you can't, people that come in, you can only motivate them so much, to to stay. And I know wives get in the way and job and all that stuff. So you see a big turnover there. And I see it with the kids too, and, playing different sports. Most of them will take a break and come back. But, I guess is how do you keep them engaged in the long term? And I haven't quite figured that out yet.
Do you have are you in a like a have a
Sorry.
I understand. I also, dude, when I had the studio at the house sidebar, like I was thinking about this the other day. I'd be like just like that, and
Yeah.
have like the dog had a beeper on his collar, and I'd be on the podcast and be like the person's talking, and I'm like beep beep beep, shut up, because he would just start barking.
Yeah.
I hear you in there. Please let me out and be with you. Oh, dogs, I love them, dude. I got two. Their names are Hickson and Gracie. In case you didn't know.
It's funny.
Yeah. But are you near college or a high school nearby?
What's that?
Do you have a college or a high school nearby your gym?
Yeah, so I mean, there's not nearby the gym. I mean, the high school's local in the area, and for us, it's just a lot of different. I deal with a lot of different demographics compared to like my partner's location in Tucson, because U of A is right down the road. So the pool of people is a lot different, also.
Well, and it's like I guess probably how you came into Dring's orbit. There's like he always experiences a percentage of people that are there for military reasons that
Hmm.
longer there in 4, 8, 10 years or whatever.
Right,
But college, we're literally right across the street from where I got both my degrees. And
right.
I was thinking about this today because I was talking to a couple of these. One's senior high school, and one is like 21 and halfway through his college degree. But those demographics they're just such a high level of uncertainty
Hmm.
about what they're gonna do.
Right.
And that makes there's like a churn in that demographic, particularly
Mhm.
for us. And I was just thinking about that today. I'm like, man, it's just some of these people are lost. Like they don't know what their life's gonna be like, and I didn't either until I was like 23, 24 years old before I really got set on this path.
Yeah. So with that, I mean, with those, that age demographic, just like anything else, it's hard to commit to 3 days a week, right, or 4 days a week to one thing when they can't balance like job and life and everything else. Sometimes there's too many outside influences, and then money too, right? I tell people, I mean, it's not that it's a cheap sport, but I mean, it does get expensive to do it.
Have you? We have not, but it's like been something we discussed. But man, I remember when the 5 layer burrito at Taco Bell was 99 cents, bro. It is over $5 right now.
Dude, it was 10 for 10. I remember vividly, like driving through you could mix and match, right? Like 10 burritos, 10 tacos for $10.
Yes. Man, inflation.
Yeah.
Um, have you like really felt the effects of that in like like not just in rising cost, but like man, the shipping cost going up, and then just poor shipping across the board.
Yeah, I mean, on the shipping stuff, I don't get a lot of products. I honestly just use two companies. So it's pretty simple. One comes from the West Coast and one's from the Midwest. So, and again, I'm not ordering a bunch of volume at the same time either. And then on the inflation side, like a lot of my people, I guess, are demographics. I do have a lot of military, a lot of border patrol, a lot of law enforcement, a lot of Raytheon, a lot of people that, it is upper mid class out here. So you feel the inflation, but you don't see it as bad because they're making the money as everything's rising and going up.
Yeah, that's definitely like in the people who own this type of business. That's definitely kind of like always been in the discussion over the last couple of years. But man, here like we really weren't observing it as much until recently. Honestly, like the last 6 months
Yeah.
with rates and stuff. Like we were like in the middle of adding like spin classes and building a room for that, and
Right.
We had hoped to refinance like what we were like with where we were with the gym. Like we had originally done a 20-year, and they were like, okay, we've been paying for like, well, 3.5 years. Like we'll complete this and then do a refi for 15 years. But dude, the rates are so terrible.
Yeah, you just got to wait. And I mean, with where I'm at out here, I can't buy a building. I really can't afford land. So, I mean, we're looking at another space right now that, it needs a lot of remodeling that we're going to put in, and the landlord's going to help on the other side, hopefully. So again, it's just everybody's feeling it, and it's just kind of riding the wave. You might find this funny, but I'm watching a lot of Prices Right, and dude, some of the stuff in the late '70s and '80s was ridiculously high.
This is not. I remember my dad talking to me about like bank rates being like impossible. Like,
Oh, I mean, there was 14 to 17% if you look back in the '80s. Like, who's buying a house at that? Like, it's crazy.
well, and imagine, okay, so that's probably for somebody like, let's say, like in our demographic that can get a loan and has good credit. Like right
Hmm.
now, rates are like 8 or 9%,
Yeah.
right? Somebody for like in my dad's situation of where he was talking about, he's just out of high school from a small Arkansas town that had like 20 people graduate in the senior class,
Hmm.
newly married at 20 years old and has one kid. It's like he doesn't have a college education of any kind and is just like working industrial work, you know? So it's like get that guy getting a loan is going to be like 20 something percent, you know?
Exactly.
Anyway, yeah, terrible times. Yeah, that's but I would say, who's probably also feeling it is that future landlord you were just talking about. Probably wants you to, there's a dude I follow. Jack actually used to work for him named Grant Cardone.
Uh-huh.
And and this dude's like, I want to say he's a billionaire now, but if not, he is damn close. But he's just like, in times like this, expand. Don't
Mm.
contract, expand.
Right.
Because it is the pendulum will swing back and you'll get the 15-year refi and et cetera.
It's the ups and downs.
Yeah. So how is it with another demographic that it's just like always. I taught a 12-person jiu-jitsu class this morning,
Uh-huh.
and there was one girl there.
Yeah.
You know, um, and she's Sharpie's fiance.
Hmm.
So she comes to almost all the classes.
Right.
All that she can come to, but she comes in the mornings a lot. And I might have one to two, maybe that one morning I had three total. That's a pretty decent sized class and program. And even with Cora, Cora's a black belt. We got Evelyn still. We have a spread of female ranks, but if
Hmm.
you look at any given class, that's always definitely like a super minority demographic. Like,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, right now they're gonna move away. Her husband's a black belt, and then she just got her black belt. She teaches for me Tuesdays and Thursdays in the morning. And those are small classes, but and she's the female instructor, and there's no women usually that show up to that. And then at night I've got a few, and it's hit or miss, and it's a tough. For me, it's a balance. There's definitely men that like certain women they just can't roll with because they can't seem to like understand the ego.
and I've like really wondered what the exact answer for that. I'll tell you what we're about to try is like a
Okay.
first time ever is a white belt class with where we don't roll. They could still like people could come. I guess anybody can really come to the class. It's just a beginner class, but
Mhm.
there's no rolling. It's 45 minutes. I'm never showing anything fancy. There's no spider guard. It's like
Right.
close guard, side control, mount, base from standing, couple of throws. Just like really like if you looked at, I don't know if you're familiar with like the Gracie Master Techs,
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
the Helio 40 lessons he would do. Those techniques, just like basics. Like, hey guys, like armbar from guard, like hip escape from mount, like great stuff.
Yeah.
And everybody should know, but we don't spend tons of time on.
Right. I added it was a brown belt teaching. And Saturday mornings, I have a 9:30 fundamental gi class that's been getting pretty good. 10 people now. I had a brown belt that was doing it. Blue belt's doing it now. But again, he's showing blue belt basic stuff. But I mean, he has a background in psychology and he can really teach. So for me, that's important too. You know what I mean? To be able to relay the information at any level.
So one thing, and it's, dude, it's so like I do like a quarterly meeting with my people with different,
Mm,
like, youth jiu-jitsu instructor, youth and teen. We'll all get together like quarterly or otherwise if needed. But McMillan
right.
and I train together like almost every Sunday. He's about the only person I super consistently work with, other than like I work with one of other assistants, Howie, quite a bit, but it's usually because he's training for a fight or his super foot black belt.
Right.
Oh, but I mean, do you do any sort of like, hey, you guys work with me one on one, instructor training type stuff? That way,
No, I really don't. I mean, again, it's just how much time you want to develop into it. And most of the, like I said, I'm teaching most of the classes anyways. So when it comes to the kids, I've got a blue belt helper and then, a couple other teens that help me. So again, I think in the class, I kind of discuss it and we talk about things, not necessarily outside, but give them pointers within the class itself.
yeah, now that's a great point too, because with the morning class program, like that's just an example of like McMillan. He is so great for that morning class because he's like chief of the campus police and has this whole like security shooting business where gets these classes and does dance concealed and provides like training for like Steve Gorley. He works like an armored car place.
Right.
Like he provides training for them and
Mm,
certification schools. So he's doing all this other stuff. So it's like it's hard for him to come to my class.
right.
I teach the noon and the evening classes, like most of them, but it's just like, and he does slip in occasionally. But it's he and I are always talking and communicating, and we train it, once a week or 3 out of 4 weekends at least.
Yeah.
And that is, I talk with people about this all the time because that's like the struggle is like, hey, you blue belt guy don't know what I want done, and so you can't be mad at him for not doing it, but
Right. Yeah, and see, like it's fun. The guy that teaches my Saturday class, like man, he's Monday through Thursday, he's in class, and Friday night he's at the open mat. You know what I mean? So he's there like literally 6 days a week.
he's us when we were coming up, baby.
And that's what I try to tell people is like, man, it was a sick addiction for a while. Like now it's not as much as of an addiction, but for a while it was like I just couldn't feed it enough.
I know, dude. I know. It's nostalgic being at Pan's this last week.
Yeah,
Just because, like, man, I was like renewing. I'm getting my certificate, black belt certificate for my BJJF and stuff right now.
cool.
Like renewing my membership and going through all those hurdles. And like my last active membership, which was when I was a brown belt, I did
Yeah,
Worlds that year, and it was like 2016, dude.
time flies, dude.
Man, I know. I've really been. I'm about to be 36 next month.
Yeah, you'll be 36 and then I'll be 46 this year.
Wow, it just doesn't seem that way, dude. I tell people like for a core memory, like the first time I really like, I'm like, man, I see this guy around. But it was you were going against Jeff Woods.
Hmm.
You were both white belts,
Yeah.
like a Danny Dream tournament, and I was just like, so I was coaching because Jeff Woods going obviously, but I was like, oh man, this guy's wrestling. It was core memory. Good time.
Good times.
Well, dude, so last time we talked, you were just kind of you were just going with this association that you're doing, and you were telling
Oh,
me
okay.
some of that. That check, Matt.
Yeah.
How's that been? Like, I know you kind of briefly had talked to me about it, but you just kind of had jumped on board with them, and I mean, some people, it's like, what's an association, like, but really, it's you, people want it to provide benefits typically, and like that was kind of like we had talked about, you were pumped about a couple of different things. Like, how's that been?
It's been good. I mean, for me, like I said, it's all about trying to build the network, right? So, I mean, it's nice having, high level place I can go in Phoenix and train. And then I was just out in California working for AGF at a couple events, and then Reno too. I mean, so there's a lot of checkmat out there. So it's being able to meet new people. Like, to me, it's just having a really good network to be able to go roll and train with. That's not always available somewhere else.
Yeah, yeah. In your region, that's the thing, man. Is like, how far are you from LA?
We just drove it. It's about, I think it's like 6.5 hours or so.
That's not bad at all. That's
Yeah, and I've been flying. Honestly, I just hop on a plane and it's a pretty quick flight. So
Yeah, yeah. So you're completely retired now. Have been for a while. Do
yeah,
you still have your ranch or no?
no. So we ended up selling. We had to sell that stuff. Um, yeah, long story there, but got rid of that, and then we're back in our house that we bought when we first moved here. So just hanging out, man. The wife's still active duty, so she stays really busy with her job, but I do daddy daycare and run the gym in the evening.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's the life, man. That's the life for me. Um, yeah, that's dude. Yeah, having a network is super important. I think it's I train with more people now than ever,
Hmm.
and it's just like it's a network I formed over the years, like through bringing instructors in. Like
Right.
I've always tried to bring different instructors in, people I've never trained with, like whether that's like what BMAC from 10th Planet. Did you come to that seminar?
I don't remember. I don't know. I might have.
Brandon McCatherine, it was so good, dude, and like we had like 45 people there or something.
Yeah.
It surprised me the number of people that came, and I would say he's even he was a commentator at ADCC.
Hmm.
I'd say he's even more well known and popular now.
Right.
But it's just always tried to bring people in that have different perspectives or from the outside, um, and I'll say a lot of those connections were made through my network. You know, and then just reaching out to people like, hey, look, I made this connection, but through my network, but they're outside the network. And then I mean, it's like Chris Burns, guy we just had in trains with Hickson like all the time.
Right.
I met him through Jack. You know,
Hmm.
I think
No, and it's all like, the cross training aspect and meeting. And, for me, I always been traveling. I've always enjoyed that. I just like having places to go. And then students, if they want to travel, places that they can drop into, is a good benefit also.
yeah. Did you ever train with or know who Daniel O'Brien is?
Sounds really familiar, but not a.
He's a dude that did that blindfolded grappling tournament.
Mm-mm.
Entered at White Belt and like submitted a bunch of people. It was great. But we had him in like 6 months ago, dude, and we were talking about his seminar the last couple of days. We were just kind of like regurgitating some of that information, but
Right.
just so many great perspectives out there. I've done like in the last 6 months, like four really awesome seminars. It's like different perspectives. Flavio, Fejao, and then the Chris Burns seminar, that Hickson dude, and Daniel O'Brien. But it's just like, man, four vastly different perspectives, vastly different personalities. You know, Interesting.
And that's a big part of it, right? The personality, how it comes across.
I know, man. It is. That is, because it's. I don't know. I mean, what else do you think you'd say about that? It's like some people learn. It just I don't know if you're super intimidated by the instructor or they're kind of
Mhm.
dickish or really old school to the point of like alienating. There's
Right.
somebody here like in our town that like that's and it's kind of like what everybody has to say about it. It's like too traditional that it for your own good that it's like
Mhm.
can't walk in out two steps any direction without bowing and sir bow to your sensei. That type of real type of mentality like we see.
Yeah.
You know,
And it's too much Kool-Aid, man. Way too much.
Yeah, yeah, but that definitely it still goes on, blows my mind
Oh, yeah.
because I'm just trying to be more relaxed, like these things we are talking about earlier, attrition, members, for life reasons, aren't going to prioritize this. It's like, how do you keep them, involved? And
Yeah, and in the human, the mind, there's people that they like to go to the place that has like this, the rigid and the guy is, aggressive and that's the way he is. And then people come to, I guess, me or you, that's a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more inviting, I say, but again, there's different spectrums of people that for some reason it turns them on to be like that or be controlled, I guess.
bro, okay, let's just, back when we were hanging out, you never had this haircut. Okay.
Yeah.
It's very nice. All right. It's just slicked over on the top. Okay. That was a nice addition. All right. And very inviting as an instructor. Okay. Very nice. But yeah, it's like, yeah, you want somebody that's inviting, somebody you want to be around, not somebody that has like a super nasty brown gi.
Yeah, but I mean, it's obviously the same way as a seminar, right? Like you're paying money, you want to have that good experience.
Um, so speaking of seminars and experiences, I've just been sharing this with many people as possible.
Yeah.
We went to a Lovato seminar.
Okay. How was that?
It was underwhelming is the main way
Yeah.
of it. It's like he didn't really show anything I hadn't seen or didn't already know.
Hmm.
He did make a cool point about collar sleeve guard, but I was like, well, I'm left-handed, so I already do it that way.
Hmm.
Everybody else, it was a great point.
Right.
He started 52 minutes.
How much late?
52 minutes.
Man, that's so disrespectful. Like, I mean, there's been times like, and again, from my own mind or from my own background, like literally starting 5 minutes late is rude, I think, to the people that have shown up on time, and you're just wasting my time. Did you extend the seminar 52 minutes?
No.
And that's a problem.
Yeah, it was supposed to be 2 hours.
Yeah.
And it was, I don't know. We, yeah, it was probably an hour and 20, 30 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
But it just kind of, everybody was just literally sitting around waiting. And we took 10 people to the seminar.
And I couldn't even imagine, like, I would almost have already walked out, you know what I mean? Because at that point, like my mental state of somebody just doing that to me, like I just think is just terrible.
Yeah, I was kind of off put by it, but whatever. Like,
Yeah.
that's that. But one other funny part about it, he was just like, like making a lot of his own jokes and then laughing at them, which I thought was funny. Like in the laugh was also a funny laugh. Like I was like, bro, do you practice that? You practice this laugh. Like it's the
Rehearsing his skit in the mirror, you know what I mean?
I know it was a very interesting. I mean, he was a really good communicator,
Yeah.
and like I got to like drill with him a little bit, and he showed some techniques, and like, dude, he's a massive man.
Yeah.
Then he's just like, oh, headquarters. I invented that. I'm the first person to ever say that. That's all me. It doesn't work anymore. It's totally, yeah, everybody stops it by doing these things. Let's work on some stuff from headquarters. It's not going to work. And like, then proceeds to show some headquarters shit. And I was just like, I got this DVD, bro. I traded this DVD with Matt Blank back in the day. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think he really did.
That's funny.
Auto's pressure passing. I know we did with the Kimura.
Oh, 100, yeah, 100%. 100% with the Kimura.
Good times, man. Tony still, which I got a digital copy, so I told him to keep it. But Tony still got my Ryan Hall Deep Path DVD. Man, old commodity. That's funny. I'm gonna have to explain to my kid what a DVD is someday.
Yeah, I mean, the digital age, right?
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of digital age, you guys doing anything to like keep members or instructors engaged digitally? Like, does your association have something, or do you do like video?
No, I mean they don't. It's again, it's been on my things of I want to build. Like the instructors ask me weekly, like, what are we doing? So I have a lesson plan that I follow, but trying to turn that more into a digital format of like things that I like to do and kind of break it down and be able to share that, in the future, even now with people. It's just it's time and the commitment to doing it.
Sure, for sure. Man, that's just I've been doing this more than ever, really, and just like sometimes it's just for one technique or
Right.
giving class, but like this morning, I filmed the whole class and edited that, and then just boom. So periodically, a couple of times with whatever we're working on, Mount Escape, you know,
How many people are viewing it?
man, more than actually, and dude, I've really been crushing it on the YouTube views. So it's like kind of skewed because I have so many returning watchers, but I'm
Okay.
like 100,000 views plus a month.
Nice.
So one of the videos I uploaded yesterday's already got over 100 views in 20 hours.
Nice. How many out of that 100, how many students do you think are the ones watching it though?
See, on that one, it's a little skewed. This one from morning class I put out just 2 hours ago, which I just put it out, and it's like morning uploads don't typically get as much, but I put a
Mhm.
thumbnail and description and some tags on it, and it's already at 20 views
That's pretty good.
in 2 hours. But uh, I will say what I do with that though that really drives the channel views up across the board is that was class videos are 10 to 15 minutes, something like that, and then I'll go back and it'll let you remix them into shorts,
Oh, okay.
and then those become their own video, and those get like thousands of views. So
Need to be more proactive like Brian.
dude, I figured it out on accident. I remixed one of our videos from like when I was a fucking brown belt, dude. And then I looked over like 15 minutes later and it had 2,000 views. I was like, I'm in. I've hacked, I've hacked the matrix.
It's all about that addiction, right? Sometimes.
Yeah. Well, dude, it's just like I never had seen that many views in like a
Right.
span of minutes. And
Yeah.
but that's just one ingredient. It
Mhm.
takes like doing that other stuff really. I've noticed that when I do the upload, if I premiere it at like 6 o'clock, if I do a thumbnail, if I do description, if I do tags, I will usually get over 100 views in the first 24 hours.
Right.
And that's just more like in the last few months. So I don't know like long term performance of the video yet.
Yeah, but it's still building content, which is good.
Dude, that's exactly, we're doing Mount Escapes, and like I had a Mount Escapes playlist already with like 28 total videos, and
Right.
have added another probably 20. So, and it's just like new content, old content, content from where I taught a seminar on it a few years back.
Yeah.
It's just gives you that stuff to look back to and to share when you're going over it. Like, hey, in case you missed class, do you?
Definitely need to work on that.
Well, it's not for everybody too. You think I will say like you think Danny Drink's working on that. He's not, and I still go see him for a private lesson all the damn time. Because
Yeah.
and it's just like, okay, so the video's not available, so I will come for the in person. Like it's not going to be available. I get it. I'll just come, and that works for him.
Yeah.
And it's not taking anything away from that.
Right.
But because obviously I still go see him for the details. But there's tons of people still out like that, out there like that in every industry, like particularly like when I just got out of education,
Hmm.
pandemic hitting, and people having to tilt to this type of interaction with students.
Right.
Dude, people over like 55 years old were dying a slow death, and that wasn't from COVID. Like it was
Yeah.
hard to see. Really, people just being like, I feeling no value, like they're like the straggler dragging everybody down. We've been getting left behind.
Just not staying up with technology though. You know what I mean?
it's just so rapidly changing. I just figured out how to do stories, dude. Just figured it out like this week. Not even joking.
That's funny.
I mean, I'd shared several in the over the past, year and a half or so, but
Mhm.
like for the business,
Right.
oh, I got it, and it just you figure out a little strategy of how to use it, and then like, man, some of that stuff comes and goes, and it's just like, but the reels and the stories and stuff, that's what's hot right now. The short content. It's called short.
Right. Their brains can only absorb so much, man. They don't have the capacity anymore.
Yeah, true. Goldfish. That's what I call 'em.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of mm, uh, poorly orchestrated seminar, is how we'll put that.
There you go.
So I saw. I didn't think to myself like, oh, I bet Matt's gonna go to that thing, But it was in your area, And Chris Burns, who we just had in, ran that gym for like 2 years.
Oh, the Valley Verde gym.
Yes.
Okay.
So the guy that you probably interacted with, who I was posting about,
Right.
I went to the seminar and shared a little experience on video and stuff about that. He's who replaced the dude we just had in for a seminar, right? So I would just say, just talking with that dude, and he talked about it a little bit on the podcast, but he's just not like being demeaning or like
Right.
fuck those guys or anything about it, but it's just like you just get that a vibe that it's like your interaction is not uncommon.
Hmm.
The stories that, like I said, not even like without going into detail, it's just like, damn, like, ooh, what an uncomfortable situation. Like,
For sure.
but so just tell me about that event, just like if you don't.
Sure. So to start it all off, so the main reason I would normally not spend $200 go learn from a brown belt. I'm a Tool fan, enjoyed their music, went to their concert, last year, or the year before. But the president of WEDA Phi wanted to go and just get the organization in front of him, just maybe be able to say two words. If he doesn't know about it, we're just telling him about it. Well, he ended up falling out. So, long story short, I ended up going up there with another black belt friend of mine. And, overall, just coming into the room, it was really just, standoffish, very divided. We tried to introduce ourselves. A couple of the black belts were okay with it. And then the rest of them were, two or three of them were in the corner protecting Maynard, like their security detail. Um, so yeah, it started off as really awkward and weird to me. Being told to go sit with the white belts was okay, but at the same time, it's like you're trying to be demeaning to me right off the bat for, there's other ways they could have approached it. So, we were good sports, go through the whole thing, and it was just very really standoffish. You couldn't get close to him. Greg does a forward roll and goes to fist bump him, and he just literally Maynard turns around and walks away. It was just super odd, just really different characters.
Yeah. Well, yeah, man. Maybe don't with that type of event, like I would say, like when we have Bryce in,
Mm-hmm.
dude, you and I have known Bryce since he was like,
Yeah, 15, 14. I mean,
yeah, I remember the day that he started whipping my ass for the first
yeah,
time, it drink. But you know, he taught a seminar here. We had to shut it off at 75 people.
right.
It was just like, man, so many people. But he stayed, signed autographs,
Mm-hmm.
came from the community just because they knew he was here, that weren't even
Right.
at the seminar, took pictures. Like, he was the last person to leave, dude. He was like signing autographs, all these rookie cards, all this shit. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, that came with the territory of doing the seminar.
Right.
In a sense, like, now he didn't have to do that, right?
Right.
But like, let's just say that's a spectrum, and we got like what you're talking about over here, and Thug Nasty over here.
Right. So let me add the other piece of the puzzle though. So after the event, the individual you had a trouble with, went ahead and replied to one of my comments that I just wasn't thrilled about it, and gave their reasoning as there was a security threat. Okay. So at the event, there was a third degree that owns a security company out of St. Louis, which is Maynard's Guard or whatever. But that was their excuse, is nobody could get clues because there was a security threat. Well, you endangered me. You didn't ask me about that. You didn't tell me there was a threat. I wouldn't have gone. You know, like if this dude is legitimately threatened for his life, you're still going to do the seminar. Like the excuses are just very poor of the reasoning.
Well, can you get in, provide any additional insight into this too? So it's like I know, like we've talked about your dad and like you playing baseball with David Gilmour and shit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
have you been backstage at some concerts, right? And I know like, Maynard has a security guy, kind of always has, whatever. But
Right.
is it this super weird feeling like backstage at concerts, any given concert, you know?
No, and that was the thing, is it was just it was kind of like we took a group picture, right? So you're in the front of the picture, everybody surrounded you, right? So it's not like you had a security detail the whole time, you know, and the guy was really off to the side. I mean, I've been around people that really get protected, right? Like you're not needing protection in this environment, and it was just really overboard, and I thought it was a little excessive.
Yeah, I would say like I don't know what the I guess in a business sense people would say micromanaging.
Mm-hmm.
We got a little bit of this weird not in the sense of controlling the whole everyone's interaction with you, but like at the Lovato seminar,
Mm-hmm.
and this guy spent like over 5 minutes organizing people for the picture. Now he's like, okay, okay, white belts here, all white belts, right? Or white geese rather, white geese.
Right.
Okay, okay. Navy blue, back corners, two navy blues here. We got the grays, we got three grays. Dude, and he just like, oh, I got to control this picture. And then like we were going to leave, and one of our people said, he's probably never even going to look at that.
Right.
So I think that for Maynard, that's just a business.
No, and it's, you know, the sad part is it was definitely a money grab, and it was, I really felt like it was just, you know, those guys moved locations and they made a lot of money. And you know, my other stance on it is, cool, you're a rock star. When we step into the square, whatever size it is, like all that stuff should really go to the side. And I think, you know, rank or our time should really have an influence on the situation.
Well, in this community, yeah, dude, because even I'll speak to this experience, like having trained with Hickson
Mm-hmm.
and being at that seminar where he got the red belt promotion, and then the next day he taught another seminar that was like,
Right.
but it's like that dude worked with me one on one at the seminar,
Mm-hmm.
was super just cordial, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just the best way. Like wanted you to feel relaxed around him. If there was any weirdness that you were gonna make, he's gonna just route it off and make you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
He did that the second. It's like he's known for doing that. He like grabs your hands and shakes. He's like, "Hello, how are you?" Like it's like before you do anything, not just like let me grab you and show the sick technique. You know,
Right.
it gets you comfortable, and then it's like an experience at that point. But it's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely like for me, like I remember the first time I saw him in person, I was like, and it's like I'm sure he gets that all the time or whatever. I was like, I wasn't like that when I was like Jack introduced me to him or shaking his hand or used me to show a technique or whatever. But it's like, man, I'm sure people make it awkward for these celebrity type people often. But, I think the way Hickson reacts to that is amazing.
Right. No, and I do get that aspect. I mean, I could see, you know, for however many years the guy's just been bombarded by people and all this other stuff. But again, that's in your own realm of being a rock star, right? I think jujitsu culture and, you know, how people interact is a lot different.
Maynard's probably, I mean, let's just be real. He has to
Mhm.
get the white belt because he choked that dude out on stage and threw him. And, you know, I would feel that pressure too. That is a sick video though. Like that's legendary. Like have you seen that, right?
No, yeah, for sure. But again, you know, in the same breath, it's, you know, the stuff they were showing, you know, the way they marketed it, you know, and at the end of the day, I was basically told like, you know, we shouldn't have been there, you know, but on the poster, you know, upper belts are welcome.
Saw that.
But
Yeah. Well, so what was the event itself like? I know they did like I guess a series of different seminars. You probably went.
Yeah, so they did 3 seminars all day. We ended up doing the last one because I obviously had to travel. So we drove up. It was the very last one of the day. Fun forward roll, backwards roll, like a break fall. And we were being good students and doing everything. And there was like a sidewalk. It was nothing exceptional. And then at the very end, Maynard didn't show it. The guy that's running the academy now showed basically a trap and roll from mount, that I would never use, but that they're just selling some really, really interesting Kool-Aid is the way I always put it.
Yeah. No, that who was like who was showing the techniques at the event? Different instructors? Is that
Yeah. So, and that was the other. So what they did is they rotated basically Maynard, I think, showed the break fall and a technical stand up. Then I think it was Ty Gay that showed the roll. And then they had visiting. There was a brown belt female that showed something and a brown belt that ended up getting his black belt that night. That was the other part that really aggravated me.
yeah. Yeah, and I saw you kind of comment about that online that like that almost like you paid to fly people in so that dude could get.
Yeah, and I mean that's honestly that I know the routine. I just understand it. It's like, man, these black belts, the 7 or 8 that got here, they didn't just pay for themselves to come support this other dude. And that was the thing. We paid just like you're saying with Lovato. Man, I paid for 2 hours. Give me my 2 hours of time. At 5:25, don't start a ceremony that lasts 30 minutes, and then at the end, Maynard just dips out the back door like he's a ghost.
Yeah, and it did. Yeah, don't make it weird.
Yeah.
Like this is not on. I mean, how many seminars you think you've done grand total?
I mean, 50 maybe. I mean,
Dude, I feel like we've been to I don't know several together. I mean,
yeah, for sure. I mean, if I add it up, I mean, that's just a rough wag, but I mean, a lot over time, I would imagine.
I think I did that I know of off the top of my head. I did 6 in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
White belt conference, the ones I mentioned, and then I've trained with Henry Akins, right?
Right.
At this Thai gay school. But that's just such an it's not in the norm for it to be weird, for a seminar to be a strange experience.
Yeah. And that's, again, like I feel like I've been around a long time. And the friend that I brought with, I mean, he's a black belt that owns an academy. He's been around a long time. And there was one other black belt there, and we all walked out at the same time and kind of just looked at each other like just dumbfounded, like it was just a weird experience for me.
Um, did you listen? Did you see my post or listen to the video where I was talking about that Henry Akins?
Little, are you talking about which part?
So you commented on the post, like, cause I made a post, and I think you
Yeah.
on it. But I also on the gym page, I did a vlog where I just
Okay. Yeah, I didn't see that. But again, basically just belittling and like beating you down over taking the phone out and taking a picture is what it seemed like.
which I will never post those pictures on. Like here in my mind, I was like, I noticed right. I'm like, okay, nobody's filming. I'm not gonna be. I'm
Right.
Gordon Ryan seminar on the internet with that guy. Like I'm not gonna film. If he was cool with filming, people would be filming.
Right.
And there's like many seminars I filmed that I never put it out. You know what I'm saying? It's for my own use. And but then I was like, okay, I'm gonna take pictures and I'll post about the seminar on our gym social media. And I'll
Hmm.
put the pictures up and we'll like blurb about finally trained with Henry Akins.
Right.
Wanted to train with this dude for a long time. And I will say like there I don't know, there's just the whole seminar was a strange vibe, and that was not necessarily Henry's fault.
Hmm.
I would say there's a couple of times that I saw him lash out with some ego in the seminar and like make some comments, but I'm like, I felt like he was doing it because this other ego in the room that we also were talking about, right? It's high gay.
Hmm.
There were several times that dude hijacked the seminar from Henry.
Right.
It's just like, bro, like,
And again, it's just it becomes a who has the biggest ego in the room or A-type personality to have to take control of the situation, and for what? You know what I mean? There's no reason.
I know, man. That again, like kind of the opposite of Hickson. He's
Mm-hmm.
like, but Henry worked with us a couple of times with me and one other student. I didn't know about it. They weren't, I guess, advertising to the public maybe, but there was one in Tulsa, and Steve was like, "Oh no, Steve Gorley." He's like, "I will go to the one over in Tulsa." Which is the next day. I could have very well gone to that, and it was closer. I just didn't know about it. Henry wasn't posting about it.
Right.
So I didn't see it. I don't follow this other academy, and but yeah, I took all these pictures. I was gonna post them. I was like, I'll tag the gym. You know, I'll maybe just send them the picture in case, because I don't see them doing pictures around here. Like they hadn't even really updated their social media often.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's if you're a person that likes to do that and share the stuff, what is the? I get the video, right? I understand that, but like, what is the harm behind taking a picture? Like, what are you afraid of? Like, what's the underlying reason? I always wonder.
Well, so that was the thing is, I don't think he had a problem with me taking pictures.
Yeah.
I'd taken probably 30 pictures that day. So it's two different seminars. So like there's a couple weird first seminars Mount Escapes.
Mm-hmm.
All knee elbow, 8 different situations on the knee elbow. Very interesting. And I loved it, dude. It was great. It was it was real. It was worth that just for the mount, right? There's a break. Then we did self defense stand up stuff, right, from like the Gracie self defense.
Right.
But yeah, I'd taken pictures that whole first part, and it's like an hour and a half plus into the second part, and there was like that picture I posted of like somebody grabbing Henry Akins by the neck and him doing that, and then like we did this. It's one of the same like arm lock over the shoulder dring shows, and we classic, and
Right.
I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get a picture of that, and just went like that, and that tiger, he's like, hey, no video, and I was just like, oh. It was, dude, it just was so awkward, but that was literally probably like the fourth time he had like had an outburst of some kind. That's just if we were looking at the whole day.
Right. And and sometimes it's hard to just control, like I said, I was able to walk away from that event and just let it be, but it's tough just to walk away because, man, at the end of the day, it's like, it's just disrespectful in a lot of different ways of just how you approach the situation. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, well, and two, like you said, that flyer said upper belts welcome, even though
100%.
they weren't.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what the Henry flyer didn't say? No
Huh.
video. It didn't say
Well, and they were very specific of no filming, no pictures. Like everybody's cell phone was out in the bay. Like, and man, everybody respected that because I was told prior not to do it, and I will respect what you say in that situation.
the communication's key if you're gonna act that way. If let's just say, look at it this way: if they would have had that on the flyer and they would have said something at the beginning, or there would have been something about the form, or when I signed up online about no photography or video of any kind, and I did it anyway. And I wasn't the only person. Like there was a few people there, like they took some pictures too. Like nobody was filming the technique,
Yeah,
you know. And but it's just like, man, like wouldn't you have said something to me like 2.5 hours ago when I was doing it the whole time? Or like I just wasn't, the way that it came across wasn't warranted. I guarantee you this brown belt girl that you're talking about was also at that seminar.
no, 100%, man. And I'll be honest with you, like just her demeanor and like her vibe and how she was saying and approaching things, I was like super turned off by that.
Yeah. Um, I heard her say the word Maynard no less than 10 times.
Really. But again, it just shows you, man, that this shit's got some extra sauce in it.
Yeah. Well, Chris Burns and I talked about this a little bit. It's like, and now, I've seen not only Tool a couple of times,
Mm.
A Perfect Circle, and Pussifer. I've seen them all. Not only that, every time I've gone to see Tool, or like Jack has texted Maynard, because Jack works with Maynard on this
Right.
regular basis. It's like, hey, you want Brian to come do a private with you and show you some of my shit or Hickson shit? And like it's never lined out, but it's like now I'm just like with and man, it's not like anybody's talking shit about the guy per se, like to like give me the insight, but it's just like I don't even look at the dude in the same. You know, just like with like the little bit of stories I've heard of positive interactions, but it's really more people's not you in the sense of this, but like almost like a heartbreak in the sense of or maybe, but it's like, oh, that was kind of my hero.
And dude, honestly, like I haven't listened to the Tool or anything since. Like I just refuse to, and it's kind of
It changed it.
dude, it totally changed it. Like I can't even put it on, and like I said, it's not. I never just from how I grew up. Like I've never, I guess, really held rock stars on a podium, right? Like at the end of the day, it's just another human, and it's another person that should be able to interact with everybody, and that's the shitty part with him is again it's just that ego is so inflated and the people around him just get the hose and pump it up.
Yeah, your black belt privilege doesn't exist in that dojo.
No, 100% not. And maybe that's a little ego on my part that it should, but I feel like we've all worked hard for it. And at the end of the day, dude, even if you start in the 90s and you're not a black belt because he said he started early, well, dude, what have you been doing for the last fucking 25 years? You know?
Well, in a culture where it is literally, you would be shunned if you didn't shake every black belt in the hands room.
Right. And we both walked in the door trying to, obviously shake every brown belt or every black belt's hand and everybody, right? Like I walk into a room, from the top of the bottom, I will try to introduce myself to everybody. Like, how do you build a network? Even when we're in line doing the drills, like me and Greg are talking and, trying to introduce and interact a little bit and break up the stagnant, torture we're being put through.
Awkward silences. Yeah, that's man, yeah, that's an awkward experience for sure. And like, dude, it was just like I would say, even though there was like some weirdness a couple of times at that Aiken seminar,
Mm-hmm.
that weird, real weird moment, like that changed everything. I was just like, damn it, dude. Like,
Yeah, it kind of just takes the wind out of your sails. You're like, oh, and then you just kind of drug through the rest of it, but it's not pleasant.
yeah. And dude, I would say even after the seminar, it's like it wasn't even anything Henry was pissed about. He worked with me after that one time on a technique and then like came up to us at the end and was like, hey, you guys have a good time. Thanks for coming. Where are you from?
Yeah,
Like, which I thought was class. He didn't have to do that. And then I was like, hey, yeah, it was great. Thank you. This is my favorite thing to take away from the Mount Escapes. And I was like, we know a lot of the same people. I was like, Jack Toffer's a good friend of mine. It's taught 6 seminars at my gym. I've done countless privates with him. He's like, oh, yeah, I know Jack, And Jack's done a ton of privates with Henry over the years.
right.
So it's just like, but then you get back to this network thing of like, I don't know, dude. Here we are telling stories about these experiences that were subpar, and like,
And I think there's just like anything or any circles or any, you know, business or other aspects. Like, man, there's people you like to circle yourself around, right? Or networks you like to be connected with or intertwined with. And there's networks you're like, nope, you stay on the outside. I don't want anything to do with you.
well, yeah, and I think that these are definitely the outlier
Yeah,
experience.
100%. And again, they exist in the jiu-jitsu culture and they're going to continue to exist because there's certain demographics and certain people that they draw in. But I think when, you take a different perspective on how you approach it, I'm not saying how they do it or what they do is wrong. It's just obviously different for me. And I just think it's, watered down and it's not how it should be sometimes.
Yeah.
If you're going to go, obviously, if you're going to pay $200, right, and you're learning, fundamentals of jujitsu or basics, like, I think there should be a little bit of supervised rolling. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if you're going to show it or you're going to do it, like, man, show a choke, right? Like, let this person experience what it is a little bit, not get hurt, but you just showing a break fall or you're showing somebody how to roll. Are you really like doing this a good service or a discredit to the overall picture of what you're saying is self-defense,
Yeah, I mean, I get like doing some fundamental movements and a warm
Mhm.
up, but make those accompany the technique,
Right.
and also try and show a variety of situations.
Yeah.
When
This is the kicker though, man, and this is the funny part, right? So I go out to like take a bathroom break or whatever, and the head of security, third degree, is over in the corner, and bro, he just starts like,
Todd Fox, is that
huh?
his name? Todd.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It, and dude, he just starts talking shit of like how he wouldn't do the seminar like this and how he would do this and do that. And I'm like, in that situation, it just shows you the type of people and the type of character of like, man, why are you discrediting the person that you're here supporting? Like it was really just awkward to me.
Yeah, I real similar stories I've heard about that guy. Just kind of like he, he's the right one about things, whatever they are.
Yeah.
He didn't say this on the podcast, but Chris Burns choked that dude unconscious, rolling with him the first time they roll.
Yeah.
Like, dude, Chris Burns, that guy is like, I mean, I don't know how many privates he's done with Dixon, but an insane amount. Like, he works with him all the time.
Mm.
And dude, just like working with him when he was here, because I assisted him all of his privates. He taught several privates and seminar. He taught a class the night before, and the dude's technique is like and stuff for like just on point with his
Right.
presence. He's shorter in stature. Like he's I don't know, probably your height
Mm-hmm.
with less muscle mass than you.
Right.
And he weighs like maybe 160, 65 pounds, maybe.
Yeah.
But I was just like, he was like mounting me and stuff. I'm just like, dude, how are you just putting that much pressure on? Like, oh my god! Just like it's several situations,
Mm-hmm.
triangle, but yeah, he was. Imagine, I think, you got a snapshot, and then I think that he got kind of trapped in that culture.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, obviously being engraved and, working for them, obviously knows a lot more to the story. And what's so funny is I didn't do any research going in. Afterwards I start researching all the people and, all the little key pieces of their little pie. And it's, just nothing I want to be associated with.
Well, by researching, you mean reading the comment section?
Well, that and digging a little bit more into them and who they are, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Well,
I
yeah.
would say this just because you were prior military or did whatever doesn't really mean shit at the end of the day.
Well, after I started talking about this and shared stories about it or whatever, the people were in the comments section, but also, man, I got text messages,
Yeah.
DMs of like, oh yeah, let me tell you about this, and I like this from everywhere, like people adding me, and I'm like messaging Jason Ryan. I'm like, hey, who's this guy?
No, it was the same thing. I got a couple phone calls of just, similar stories, just shared experiences of, a couple of the players in the piece. And, life goes on. And, at the end of the day, it's you experience it and you just let it be and just know that you'd never go back and, put more money in their pocket at the end of the day.
I don't really remember. Speaking of the comments, though, how did they did? Was it Ty Gay? Who was in the comments? Because this is like I'm seeing you have this situation before I went to the Henry Aiken seminar and had my situation.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody replied in the comments, and I should have went back and read it. Who was that?
Well, I mean, there was to me about so nobody replied on.
Well, maybe I think you made that post saying like,
Yeah, so I made the post, but then how I got more information is basically Brandon tagged me in the photo that Ty had posted on his own personal page, and then he's like, "I see Matt Blank," and then after that, I put, was a little disappointed. I wasn't beating him up, just that, and then that's when they went into the excuse of the security and everything else. So, but then on my own page, like it's just a lot of people in the Arizona community. Like I said, I mean, the network's small, right? And I feel like I know everybody and I try to be even keel and, train with everybody and not be an asshole. You know what I mean? And those people, they just really very standoffish and that, like we said, that culture, that gym, not everybody's the same. Not everybody's opening and welcoming, basically.
yeah, but again, I think that's definitely the outlier. When I
Yeah,
tell people that are like traveling or whatever, I'm like, look, 95% of the places you're gonna go are gonna be a place,
fantastic.
welcoming environment, super nice
Yeah,
experience. It's like, and then there's gonna be that 5%, you know. But I mean, that's really one of the only the two seminars we're talking about are like, and one of them not even really being the instructor, or about the only two super negative seminar experiences I've had, and I attended so many.
right. Yeah, and again, at the end of the day, not everything could be perfect. So just like everything, I guess you got to experience one or two bad ones over your time, right?
Yeah. No, that's yeah. It's weird they were so close together.
But again, it's just funny, at the end of the day, the network, because Oklahoma, Arkansas, Arizona, like it's all everything's so intertied at the end of the day is you can't really run from it.
100%, dude. Like particularly with what you're saying about like, I remember back in the day, did you ref any AGFs in Arkansas?
I never did in Arkansas, no.
But like you working at an event now out on the West Coast, it's like, you know, I just seeing that growth of that network alone, where they have
Right.
3, 4 tournaments in the same weekend in different regions across the
Mhm.
and but you form connections. Like, man, okay, well, man, I've come into contact with people from can't count how many states just through jujitsu competitions.
Right.
But like particularly in our region, but then it's like, look, you moved and you're not in my region specifically. Like, well, we're kind of in the south part of the country.
Yeah.
But it's just like it is. It's like it is like trade networks or something of jujitsu where, and then we had this now, dude. I've like done 5 Zoom private lessons with Jack recently.
Mhm.
There's this experience also that like, dude, 10 years ago we wouldn't have been like, hey, wait, bro, let's just have a Zoom conversation and record it, put it on the internet. Like it's just a different way that we can catch up, communicate, talk shop.
Right. But it's maintaining those good connections, right? Like, I mean, even still, I get, it's like referrals, right? Like to me, that's a big important aspect of all this is like, man, somebody moves to my area and they've got a good referral from somebody else. Somebody moves towards Homeboy's gym, like, man, I'm not giving you a good, if you ask me, you're not getting a good like recommendation, right? I'm not going to put it out there anywhere, but to somebody else, I'm not going to help you out.
Yeah. Well, and two, man, like what a small world it is. So,
Mm-hmm.
and what I mean by that, like with this network, this community is you take like this Chris Burns.
Mm-hmm.
He saw the BJJ versus cancer videos, contacts Jack. Hey, I want to know more about this. Jack starts going out to Australia, right? To like do seminars. And
Mm-hmm.
one of those times while Jack's in Australia doing seminars with Chris Burns, he runs into Caleb. He's there on vacation.
Right.
All unplanned. Then fast forward like 3 years, post pandemic. That was pre pandemic. This dude
Mm-hmm.
comes to the United States because Australia you get fined like $100,000 for doing jiu-jitsu or something crazy. And
Communists.
yeah, comes here, works for Maynard, then stops working for Maynard. And Jack would come out there to the classes periodically. Even Caleb did, and like they had all formed that connection. And then Chris Burns leaves Verde Valley and starts teaching jujitsu at this gun club place. And this dude I know, who's a Superfoot white belt, Jim Ginter, totally different network,
Right.
is driving like 20 minutes from wherever his school is. He's a Superfoot guy, traditional, something like martial arts school.
Right.
Jiu-jitsu with Chris Burns. Jim Ginter's going to be on my podcast on Friday. Like I know him and I see him at all the Superfoot events, and he's going to be at my second degree testing on the testing panel in June. It's like that's the small world community types. Like what when we say those things, like what
Yeah.
you know, because it is like you are just always going to run into people. Like it wouldn't matter where I was going, I could call you or Dring or whoever.
Right.
And I've done that countless times. Like, hey, I'm going to be in Vegas. Who do I need to train with? I'm going to be here. Who do I need to get a hold of? And it have opened doors through that.
Yeah.
Sure.
And just like anything else, I mean, we try not to burn bridges and like I said, maintain those good connections. But at the end of the day, like, man, we don't get along with everybody, right? Like, not everybody has the same feelings or, energy. And that's the thing. Like, dude, when I walked in that room, and I'm sure you could experience it, is you can just sense, right? Like how it feels, you know. You can tell when the energy is just terrible and they're just sucking it out of the place.
Yeah, yeah. It's a vibe thing.
Exactly.
Well, for anybody listening, I don't think that's like I said, it's an outlier. I don't think that's the culture. I think people that don't train are maybe afraid that it's going to be some sort of weird experience like that, like an awkward silence in the room or like a weird vibe coming in. They already think like, oh, it's gonna how many people beat me up there,
Mhm.
scared to go in. That's common. Like it's
Yeah,
common feeling. So it's like, I just try and like 180 that shit. Like, hey, bro, like I'll be seeing people with long hair and be like, you need a haircut. Like just like whatever I can do to break the ice with them, be like circle gaming them and stuff.
for sure.
Whatever I can do to just be like, hey, bro, let's not make this weird. We're about to punch each other in the face.
Right. But again, it's just personality and like how you approach the situation.
I know. It's funny, like, cause I'm my own way, right? But like, I got this guy Howie that's got a fight coming up, and like he had some boxing fights, and he lost his first two USA boxing fights, and he did this West Side Smoker, and he did real good, and then kind of faded, but it was just an exhibition. But
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? But he's just like persistent, like working real hard over 6 months and wanted to fight. And he did train super hard for a fight and won. But I was
Right.
like, bro, I gotta send you to Danny Dring. He's gonna provide the intensity required for your endeavors, and I'll provide it too. But like, man, it's just not the side of it I enjoy most. Like, I'll get in his ass, but dude, not on the same level. Like, I'm talking like we're watching the sparring videos. I'm like, let me turn this down. Yeah, like it's like I got to turn that volume on down. Like, poor,
Yeah.
like it's like the dude's sparring with him's getting in trouble because how he's doing good.
Right.
But that's I. I did, I was sending him there because I do believe that that's like required in some way for fighting. Like, I can get in his ass and motivate him, but it's like, dude, like for some people, like he's just not like what was not demonstrating that sort of a characteristic of aggression, like, and I wasn't motivating that in the same way I know that during have seen him motivating people. It's a weird thing, some people flourish under that or will rise to the next level.
Yeah, for sure. And again, some people are receptive to it, and then some people like definitely revolt from that type of it too. The big thing is at the end of the day, I still feel like I really can't teach aggression, right? Or I can't teach you to be able to turn that switch on. Like that's something you got to work on developing on your own, on your inside. Like I can help you, right? I can say some encouraging words or sometimes, not so encouraging, but at the end of the day, it's just tough for them to find it.
Yeah. Well, and it's all sorts of conversations to be had about like that, preparing for fights or
Yeah.
be a champion or what have you. Cora has told this story a couple of times recently. Because she went through that training for IKF. Like when Jane was doing the IKF camps and like
Right.
privates and just grueling fight camps and cross training and going and training with Andrea Lee and all this stuff. Um, and then she gets to IKF. She goes in her first round and is like just battle hardened and just beats the shit out of the girl, ends up finishing her with leg kicks. But she sits down at the first round, she's just like, and he's like, you having fun? And she's like, what? What? Am I having fun? What are you talking about? This is not what we talked about. Like it's like
Right.
trained talking about having fun and shit. Like it was all like hardcore, and then it's like how you doing, baby girl? I'm just like, but she tells that story. It's hilarious. Like she told
Yeah.
it when we are in Orlando having, I think it was when we are having dinner after Pan, but super funny. Good time. Well, dude, been great catching up, bro.
You too, my man.
Always a pleasure. Let me know when you come back this way. I know I saw that you had been back a few weeks ago and had taught a class or something at Drings, but it like would I was I thought about trying to slip up that way. It just didn't work out because I've been going up some Thursday nights
Yeah.
when I can.
Yeah, it's just schedule wise. I'm coming back. I'll be there in May. My kid is graduating high school. I just don't know that I'll have some time. But both of them are going to be up at the University of Arkansas. So every year I make at least a trip, October usually. So I'll make sure I stop and get some training in.
Right on, bro. Well, keep me posted if you're in the hood, and it's been great, man.
Will do. All right, Brian, take it easy, my man. We'll talk soon.
Have a good one, bro. See
All
you.
right. Bye.